Welcome to Under Investigation, Stories Beyond the Badge. Join a seasoned detective as he steps away from the crime scene and into the lives of fascinating individuals. Through candid interviews and thought-provoking conversations, we explore the stories that shape us, covering personal struggles, triumphs, and the powerful intersections of faith, family, and life. Each episode brings unique perspectives and inspiring insights from people living diverse, authentic lives. Now, let's dive into today's story.
Well, welcome to another episode of Under Investigation. I am your host, Mike Akins. I appreciate you guys joining us for another episode. We'll see how long this adventure goes on for, but today I am I have a special guest, and honestly, I'm on. I guess I'm not at the PMG studios today. I am on location.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Remote, or I don't know what's that word.
You're here. You're in my world.
I'm in Aaron's home office, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm really jealous about. But
You're sitting at my desk next to my posted dispenser that came from a very special individual.
I got a picture of your wife that I got to stare at for a while. It's pretty unique. But anyways, I want to welcome you. This is a former coworker of mine. His name is Aaron Marsh. Aaron is a dear friend, former coworker. He's retired, and we'll get into that part of your life story earlier. But I think most important, which I'm the most excited about, is that you're a brother in Christ.
Yeah. Thanks.
And of course, we're going to dive into that a little bit too. But welcome to the show. I don't know, are you nervous or are you pretty chill?
I don't know. I wasn't nervous, and all of a sudden you've got this like crazy sweet intro that is like super intimidating, and all of a sudden I got nervous.
Yeah. Well, what was it you said earlier when we were kind of going over the pre-show? It was like fantastic, or it was interesting.
Yeah, your intro, it's amazing. Whoever put that together deserves some.
I'll pass it on.
Yeah,
I'll pass it on. I paid a lot of money for that intro. But anyways, welcome to Under Investigation, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You have an absolutely, I don't know how I would explain it, a crazy life story, at least professionally speaking.
However you want to describe it, I'm not quite sure.
It's something.
It is something, and we all have stories.
Yeah, we do.
And
yours is crazy.
It's been a fun one, and it's a cool story during my years in law enforcement, and that world, and anybody in law enforcement knows that world. And then it went somewhere where I never expected it. I mean, I was going to be just like a lot of cops. I was going to be the guy working until I was 50, and then that changed, and then 55, and all of a sudden the Lord said, "No, we're gonna do something else here.
We're gonna take a hard left.
We're gonna take a hard left or right or whichever direction."
And that was a very sharp turn. It was very sharp. It's not, and again, we'll talk about this a little bit, but kind of going back, just tell me a little bit about Aaron. I mean, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, where do we start? I mean, I grew up in central Minnesota, Sauk Rapids. I had a very stable childhood. I mean, I just loved. I have nothing but smiles when I think back, to early days of growing up in Sauk Rapids, and I was a kid of the '80s. I mean, we were the awesomest generation.
Of course, we were.
All the memes that you see of kids jumping their bikes over, homemade jumps and doing all these crazy things. That was like truly our childhood.
I've not, this is not about me, but there's a funny story. Growing up, we had this ditch across the street from our house, and we all rode BMX bikes, right? And we made it so like we had a jump.
Yeah.
And we would ride really, really fast down the road, drop into the ditch and hit this jump.
Okay.
And we would jump people. We would stack them next to each other. How many people can you jump? I think I jumped like 9 kids one time.
How is this a universal thing? We didn't have the interconnection of cell phones or technologies. We did the exact same thing. We had that same ditch.
And guess what?
I remember jumping people.
I didn't have a helmet either.
None of us. So part of my, childhood experience is kind of my surrogate mother. She's, my mom died a couple of years ago, unfortunately, and I had Eileen was her name growing up next door. She was like my second mother, and even is to this day. She was the cutting edge of like the mom at the time. She was well beyond her years. I remember she would, watch Oprah and get these great ideas. And yeah, we had to do this crazy thing in her car, wear our seatbelts.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like when we knew when we rode with Eileen, we had to buckle up, which is such a, like,
That was foreign.
What? This is crazy. I remember my buddy Josh, and he's like, yeah, we gotta put our seatbelt. And you got to know this, right? I mean, I spent most of my childhood at their house and him over at my house. But my point is he had to wear a bike helmet.
No.
Poor kid. Yes. I mean, she
Did you
was
get picked on?
Oh, poor Josh. Well, Josh, I don't
Josh.
know that I shouldn't say this. Well, we talk about this openly now. Josh wore his helmet. He really didn't. He put his helmet on to go to Little League, would bike to Little League. I mean, we're the latchkey generation.
Oh, yeah.
Which is great. We grew up a lot more independent and able to problem solve and everything else. We just got sent off to baseball. So we'd bike, however many miles it was to baseball. And he had to wear his helmet. And it was the same bush every day. We'd make it around the corner. He'd unbuckle the helmet. He'd throw it in the bush. We'd bike to baseball. On the way home, we'd stop at that bush. He would put the helmet on and wear it for the last block back home. So he'd wear his helmet. Unless he knew, of course, his mom was coming to the baseball game, then he'd just strap it around his handlebars, and make it the rest of the way. And
you know what? It sounds like we grew up very similar.
It's great.
Although I didn't have any buddies that had to wear helmets.
Okay.
I will admit that. But I mean, jumping.
Yep.
Did you ever like tie something behind your bike and drag it?
Oh yeah.
We did that.
Yeah.
We did it like with Tonka toys.
And
then they'd slide.
Sure.
Like, look at them.
Yep.
Oh, that is insane.
We had the cards that would go in the spokes and, make your bike loud. And really, I had probably about, as a kid, it seemed like a couple hundred acres. In reality, it was probably 80 acres of woods behind us.
Mm.
And we knew that woods like the back of our hand. And it was truly head out in the morning, be home by supper kind of deal.
Now here'll be my final question about kind of like that age generation growing up. Did you have a fire whistle that you had to be home at a certain time?
Well, Eileen had a whistle.
Eileen had a whistle.
That was the only communication
man.
out to us wherever we were. My parents, it was more about, be home by supper. And, I don't even know how we figured that out. It was probably when you're hungry and, you just had this internal hunger clock and you'd come back home. But Eileen had a whistle. So when she blew the whistle, my buddy had to come home. And that was kind of like, all right, we all probably should head in.
Now, is Eileen Josh's mom?
Eileen was Josh's mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just I want to make sure.
Yes. Oh, just salt of the earth. I mean, just an incredible family. Love them so much. However, if we were into something good, you could avoid the whistle because all you had to do is pretend like you didn't hear it. So the whistle would blare. Depending on what we're into, Josh would look at me and he'd either say, I got to go, or he'd say, you didn't hear anything. And it was
Have you ever confessed this to Eileen?
Oh, she knows. She knows all this. Yes. We've had a lot of years of
That's actually
confession.
Is Eileen still in the same house? Like next door to where
she
you
is?
Okay.
Yep. Jim and Eileen are still in the same house.
Oh, that is crazy.
Yeah,
I love stories like that.
I
Because,
know. It's just such a golden childhood.
And then it's like now, heaven forbid, your kid doesn't have a cell phone. You can't text them.
Right. Yeah. Life 360. I know where they are. I know what speed they're going.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They'll get home and I'll be like, yeah, I saw you were like 4 miles an hour over the speed limit. You got to talk.
just this morning, my wife and I are doing a marriage study together right now. And today's chapter was on the digitalization of the world.
Yeah.
And it's like, just put them down.
Yep.
So like tonight we are shutting everything out, even taking off my iWatch.
Oh, sure.
Like we're going completely digital free.
Cool.
Tonight. Actually, it's supposed to be after I get home after playing with all this digital stuff.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting.
It is interesting. And
wish me luck.
Good luck. Yeah. And we know otherwise. I mean, we knew that world. We know that world, what that was like. And
our kids don't know the world without the internet, and they don't know the world without the cell phones.
Yep.
And which I like to point out to my children every once in a while, which they're both adults now, but it is what it is. Yeah. So did you grow up in a Christian home?
Grew up in a Christian home. I went to a small parochial school, Lutheran school.
Okay.
Missouri Synod.
Okay.
I had probably, I don't know, it was probably 10, 12 kids in my class. There were years that we were combined classes, like 5th and 6th grade together.
Okay.
Trinity Lutheran Church we were connected to. Missouri Synod. It was beautiful. I mean, looking back, I had some just amazing teachers and amazing pastors. Missouri Synode's quite conservative. And we knew the catechism and memorized scripture and books of the Bible and a lot of good stuff. Worship was still quite conservative. As a kid, looking back, I now go to church in a gymnasium.
That would have never happened.
Oh
20
man,
years ago.
Even into those things that just kind of become ingrained in you. Even when we started at our church where we're at now, it's like, oh, I don't know, gym. I don't know if I can. We're supposed to be in pews, but anyways, looking back, it was either piano or organ. I remember when our associate pastor played a guitar and sang a worship song. It was like Satan presented himself that day in church. I remember people like,
really? How long ago is this? Like, are we talking 25 years ago? What?
Oh yeah. I would have been like, 8 years old.
Oh, okay.
Roughly.
And now go to a church and there's rock bands.
Yeah. We're worshiping the Lord, but it was just, that was kind of the level of conservatism. And I loved it. I loved everything about my church. The people were just amazing, but, I had some
That's
people
phenomenal.
around me. Yeah, it was
That's
great.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, at least talking with you, as you're talking about it right now, you had a pretty good childhood.
I had a great childhood. Yeah, it was. You've seen Leave It to Beaver?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are you Beaver?
Yeah, I was the Beav.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
'cause I had an older brother, Wally. Jason Wally.
Yeah,
I was the Beav. Yeah.
That-
Yeah, it was good. It was a great childhood.
If I would have known this 10 years ago, I would have called you Beaver at the office.
Hey, Beav. The Beav.
If I only knew now
Yep,
what I knew,
yep.
or if I only knew then what I knew now. Know now. Oh, that's fantastic. So kind of fast forward to your teenage years. Obviously, I know your professional story, but at what point did you feel like you wanted to go into law enforcement?
Well, I remember it well. I always had this real kind of fascination with police officers. Like, there's some cool guys. I want to be a guy like that someday.
Mhm.
However that was shaped, I don't quite remember. We never had to call the police growing up, or
that's good.
No negative experiences like that might have had the an opposite effect.
Any neighbors that were cops, or
into my teenage years, we had a neighbor a couple doors down that was a police officer. John was his first name.
was John an influence at all?
He was a great guy. Yeah, he was for sure an influence. But I wanted to be a cop before that.
Oh, okay.
I just had that real admiration prior to that.
Mhm.
And John probably just kind of solidified my beliefs of what a cop should look like, police officers should look like. And so, it was in my high school years that I decided, I'm going to be a cop. But there was, this is the weird part, and I'm probably never told you this. There's also this piece of me, a voice that felt called to the ministry. Like,
Oh, really?
I was sort of this, I want to be a cop, but I sort of want to be a pastor too. But I really want to be a cop. And that's where I felt led to. I don't know if he always necessarily communicated as, I'm feeling led to, I'm feeling called to, especially as a teenager, is like, I want to be a cop.
Right.
That's cool. But that's what drew me.
But I would almost, and I don't want to speak for you, but I feel pretty strongly, because I know this happened with me when I was on the street. You can still do ministry.
Oh, you can, brother.
As a cop.
Oh man.
And once I kind of got that confidence, I was able to do that more.
Yeah.
You can't just throw it out there, everyone, but you see, I don't want to say signs, but I know I would go into a house, and if I saw a Bible, sitting on the corner of a desk or something, and I was there for a domestic, it'd be like, hey, you read that much?
Right.
So I would never force it, or if I ever got pushback. Did you find yourself being able to do that
100%.
kind of stuff?
Oh, and even if the situation didn't present itself where you could be a direct witness, you were being the hands and feet. You were being the peacemaker.
So you would even bring it up if you didn't see little signs or clues. Am I hearing that right?
Oh, I don't know that. Yeah.
It's like, for me, I always had to see something. I had to, like,
Yeah.
and maybe that's a weakness on my end, but if I saw a cross on the wall, or like I said earlier, a Bible on the corner, something that told me they were Christian or believers, or at least they were presenting themselves as that.
Yeah, for sure. That was always a great segue into a conversation. But I guess what I'm saying is that even if you didn't have a chance to directly witness, you were witnessing by your actions.
Oh, okay. I follow.
And
that's true.
Just if it's rendering aid, if it's comforting, if it's offering a hug, if it's, all the other things that cops are doing every single day. I mean, you're truly bringing peace to scenarios and situations. So, I had a coworker, I won't use his name. I mean, you know him. He was excellent at it. He would carry a little pocket Bible in his cargo pants.
Really?
And
it's phenomenal.
Oh, I love it. I got to witness it. He was so good at it. I don't know if this
is it who I think it probably is.
I don't know if there's a policy violation, so I don't know.
We don't. You're retired, man.
I'm retired. That's true.
You can say whatever you want. I just have to be careful how I respond.
He was so good at offering hope, and I would see him, and he would say, "Can I offer you some hope today? Can I share a gift with you?"
No way.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful.
I'll have to get the initials later, but I think I know who it is.
Yeah, you would not be surprised by who it is. So
yeah, I'm
great guy.
I think I know somebody who's pretty bold that way.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd love hearing that kind of stuff because it's like there's so much more, in my opinion, to being a cop than just the facts, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's influence there. There's you are probably going to steer or certainly influence further interactions that these people may have with law enforcement officers by your interaction.
Yeah, right.
And I know that's important. I mean, you may be their first interaction with a cop, and if it goes south, you've now set me up for failure for the next time that I may deal with.
That's right. And you're seeing people oftentimes on just their worst day. They're sometimes the worst day of their life.
Yeah.
And you're sort of the face of what's happening.
Yep. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I've told people often, people generally don't call 911 when they're having a good day.
Yeah, typically not.
And that sounds very cliche, but it's true. It really is true. I mean, once in a while you'll get a grandma that calls because she's lonely, so she makes up something about the neighbor.
Sure.
The neighbor's dog is barking, and you come in and you talk about the dog for 2 minutes, and then you're there for 25 minutes because you're having that conversation with her.
Yep. I loved those style of calls or those sort of genre calls because I love the follow-up afterwards. And, depending on your role, if your investigations are on the, pushing a squad car on patrol, you don't always have time and you don't have the ability, but I loved when you could follow up and go back, a few days later, a couple weeks later, and see those people and visit them. Just there's no agenda other than just being with, just providing some
stopping by to say hi.
Stopping by to say hi.
Did you make connections with anybody that ended up being, I'd say, more long term? Because you were a police officer for how long?
Yeah, 22 years.
Okay.
Yep.
So did you ever make any connections? I know I don't want to say year 2, year 3, but like that lasted more than just a couple months that you forged relationships with?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was in the schools for a period of time teaching DARE. There's a lot of relationships that really grew out of that. It was a part-time. I mean, it wasn't all the time in the schools. I was working the street and then, in the schools like one day a week. And I can think of several families that I got to know. Some elderly people. I mean, I love young people. I love old people.
But in fairness, your personality, I mean, and this is me speaking, your personality people tend to gravitate to. And the reason why I say that is because I'm not even gonna say generally. Other than, a period of time, going through the medical stuff that I think was on your heart a lot more. I don't know if I've ever seen you outwardly down, so that people gravitate to those positive personalities. And you were definitely one of those. I mean, you were a natural leader in the department because I don't know, you carried an aura If that, I don't know if that makes sense, but I mean, so I could see those relationships just naturally building.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that was very kind of you. I appreciate that. And I just tried to sort of be who I was and carry that into my interactions with whoever came across my path. In law enforcement, you see so many different people every single day. And it could be somebody who is just a victim of a horrible crime to somebody running late to bring their kids to, soccer practice, to anybody in between.
All within 20 minutes.
All within 20 minutes, yeah.
Isn't
And you
that
just think of
true?
the multitude of interactions that you would have each day. And I just always had a sense that whoever was going to be put in my path that day was for a purpose, for a reason. And I didn't want to screw it up. I screwed it up plenty. Don't get me wrong. I'm, did a lot of mistakes in my life and my career, but I had just sort of a mindset that I didn't want to mess up whoever the Lord was putting in front of me that day. So.
And you kept that at the forefront of your mind?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I wish I was that thoughtful.
Well,
I try to, but I wouldn't necessarily say that was my thought every
not
day.
Perfect. And there's certainly days that it probably wasn't my forefront.
So you're backing off on your statement, huh? Well, now that you're putting it that way.
Yeah, my statement is I tried.
Caveat. Asterisk.
Yeah. I tried to have that mindset.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
but I think about the relationships that you ask about. There's some significant ones. There was when I was investigations, and I know that's where you are, and you're an incredible investigator and certainly a mentor to me. My time.
Now you're lying.
No, that's the absolute truth. That's the absolute truth. But I think about just a horrible, horrible investigation, probably the worst one that I was ever part of. And it happened quite fast from getting the case to the actual arrest. I mean, we're talking like it was one of those that you didn't stop working. The tip came in, the interview happened. We started setting up, some recorded phone calls, basically set the suspect up and made the takedown. And without getting into details, because I would never want to, reveal too much.
No, absolutely.
I mean, it was a sexual assault that over time that this particular girl was being held against her will, fed narcotics, and raped repeatedly over quite some time, like a couple months. Terrible, terrible. And thereafter, after conviction, after all the court stuff that goes into that, we stayed in touch for quite some time. And I mean, it was years that we'd check in, and unfortunately, like things go sometimes, is the phone calls in between would kind of expand out, and pretty soon as month check in, and a couple months check in, and I wish I had a happy ending in this situation, as far as what happened, but she had a lot of things to deal with in her life, and just the trauma that was happening because of what happened in this particular situation. But I mean, there really was a closeness for quite some time with this particular victim for several years. So you have those relationships, and you've got.
Well, I think the Lord puts you in a place, and maybe it's for just a period of time. Maybe, it's for that chapter of life that she maybe needed that extra support.
Yeah.
Or the family needed extra support, or whatever it was. I mean, everything's not going to be perfect, but
yeah,
play
it's a
your
broken
role.
world. Yeah, it's a broken world.
No doubt.
Yeah, and who knows? I don't know where she is today. I mean, might have been the next season of struggle and
how long ago was that, roughly?
Oh, that was about 2009.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And
for several years we kept in touch, and
fast forward to 2025 now, and you're still thinking about it.
oh yeah.
Because
Oh, I think, yeah.
and that's the part that people sometimes forget is the impact
Mm.
that these cases can leave on officers that respond. And, I haven't dug into that. I run this fine line, right? I'm the host, but I could be interviewed probably and just, unload a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
but, you're really the first officer that I'm talking a little more about that. I think, not to justify all the issues that, law enforcement has, as far as maybe the hidden secrets of alcoholism and anger issues or, whatever, that's a lot of it is baggage,
It is.
over the
It
years.
is. Yeah.
My wife, and I bet, I should ask your wife this. You're a different person when you start your career to where you are now, whatever that is. In your case, you're retired now, but in my case, I'm towards the end of my career, and sometimes it affects those officers differently. And I hope that this memory for you from early 2000s or mid 2000s, that you realize that you were put there for a reason, and you impacted this girl and her family in a way that I'll tell you right now, only you could do, because I know your personality.
Yeah. Well, that's kind. You nail it on the head. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And just everything you just mentioned is absolutely right. That's not just an excuse or something cops will say. It's the absolute truth. My wife will witness that, and she's mentioned that several times. I mean, you change, and we all change. We all evolve through life.
Of course, we mature is what I like.
You mature, yeah. Sometimes,
well, maybe, yeah.
Sometimes, but there is a change for sure when you start your career. By the time you end, it's quite a ride. It really is. And I'll say this now, I've been on both sides. I mean, I was 22 when I started.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for 22 years. It was a really interesting timeline when I retired. I was a cop for as many years as I wasn't a cop alive. And of course, I mean, many of those first years in childhood, you don't really have memory of, you don't remember. So I had more years that I remembered of my life being a cop than not.
Wow.
And now being on the next end of that, the next chapter of that, retired, and it's been a couple of years now. It's different. It's different not being in law enforcement. And this isn't like a pat on the back to all the cops out there. It's hard. It's a hard career. There is a level of stress when you are in that career that is really tough to explain, that you don't quite understand unless you're directly in it or involved or a family member. I'm sorry, Mike. I don't have any stress now.
You want some of mine?
It's quite different. I love my work now. I love where I am. I love these, the what the Lord's putting in front of me and the doors he's opened. And I have things to do, but it's different. It's a different level of pressure and stress. I'm not wearing a bulletproof vest. I'm not wearing a gun anymore. I don't have a plan anymore with my family that if something really bad were to happen, where to go, the safe place, the evacuation plan. This is where we're going in case all of a sudden all the newsies are showing up at our house.
Mm-hmm.
Those are real scenarios you go through. The world is a tough place. Anything can happen. I could be in a car wreck for sure today when I go pick up my kids. I understand that. But I don't have a specific plan anymore of talking to Mike and saying, hey, if I'm killed, will you be the first one to go to my house? And will you do this? Will you talk to my kids? That's a real conversation you have.
I remember the first time that I filled out my critical incident packet.
Mm-hmm.
And for our listeners, critical incident packet is basically what are your wishes, right? If something bad happens, and that could a serious car crash that you're in a hospital to death, and we used to call it the line of duty death packet. And I remember the first time I sent that out to my siblings, or I had those conversations with them, or certainly the first time I sat down with my wife, like, just their faces got blank, and I'm like, well, this is just a reality of what we have to do, and we need to be prepared. So I fast forward that to now, and I go, hey, they're like, and they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, it's like they've been desensitized as well.
And there's so many layers. There's so many of those things that are just sort of part of the job that you don't realize just how much they affect you and can affect you, and the calls and just how traumatic they are. But it's just a Tuesday.
I know.
You go through these adrenaline dumps and valleys in law enforcement, from investigations to the tactical team to patrol, wherever you are, you have these like adrenaline spikes, and then down, and then up, and then down, and just the physical effect that has. I don't have that anymore. This is funny. A couple weeks ago, my son left early in the morning to go work out before school. He went to the gym at school. I didn't realize it. I woke up. The Ring camera notified me I was still sleeping. I looked at the Ring video, and I saw somebody wearing a hood walking to his car, getting in and backing up. And I thought my son had left the key fob in the car, so somebody just backed out. I had an adrenaline dump like you wouldn't believe, like, oh, the car's gone. Oh, someone stole it. Gone 911. And, after about 10 seconds of processing this with my wife, after I wake her up, she's like, well, no, he went to the gym. It was him. You're looking at your son on the video. I'm like, oh, it took me like an hour to come down from that. And I remember thinking at that moment, wow, like my heart is still racing. I used to go through 100-fold adrenaline dumps day in and day out, and day in and day out, and 10 times a shift.
I bet your heart is much happier now, though.
It's
like physically.
Yeah, physically the heart is, it has a break outside of the car.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the adrenaline dumps are every call.
Yeah.
And then up, down, up, down. I mean, that's why there's so many studies being done, obviously on heart health with law enforcement, or just first responders in general. But so let's talk a little bit about your employment as a police officer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I know you worked in a pretty large, well, I can say it because it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
You worked in a fairly large West Metro agency.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of tell me, what did you do there? I mean, you said at one point you taught DARE. Yep. So kind of go through the beginning. And what kind of things did you experience while you're a police officer?
So I was offered a job when I was still in skills, which was quite a unique thing. And
unusual.
It was unusual.
Back then.
And yeah, for sure back then, because I remember walking into the auditorium day 2 of 2 days of testing at a huge school, and there had to have been 500 people there taking the test. And this was day 2. And they were hiring 2 spots.
Wow.
And it was just by the Lord's, design that this was going to be the place where I was going to end up. So, one thing led to another. And so I was offered a job when I was still in skills. I was up north at Hibbing Community College doing my skills program after college. And so there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to pass the post test, and, a job waiting for me as long as I could get through this stuff. And,
were you married yet?
No, nope.
Okay. Single guy. Woo-hoo.
Single guy. My current wife was my high school.
Just for the record, your only wife.
My only wife. Yes. Yeah.
You said current.
Well, like, current. Yes. Yeah. Wife one of one.
There you go. I like that.
She was my high school sweetheart. So so this is, we're getting serious, right? We had to have been engaged by this time, by the time I'm going through skills, I think, to really go back in the Rolodex of memory. But so we're engaged, and And yeah, I'm offered a job. So I'm hired. I'm 22 years old. I started in September of that particular year, 2000. And yeah, because we got married in December that year.
So you'd gone to Skills the summer before.
Yep. Gone to Skills and started in September. Yeah. Graduated and started with the agency. And so, of course, like every new officer, where do you start? Well, you start doing dog watch, you work in the street and dog watch. But of course, there's, training and internal training that goes into that. It's not just, go through school and hand you the keys like they did in the old days. You have internal training and FTO process and several months of that, and then getting through those steps and passing and next level. And eventually you're on your own eventually. And I remember my first shift. I remember just being like, give me a squad. Like, this is crazy. I'm out on my own here responding to calls.
Was it, what am I doing?
Or? What am I doing? That was it. Yes. Nothing but what am I doing? It was kind of
fake it till you make it.
Yeah, that's right. Right. So worked dog watch for several years.
Mm-hmm. Any specialty assignments those first few years?
No. Yeah. Specialty was dog watch. Yeah. Like guys. And it's kind of funny, you look back at some of those careers. Some of my favorite memories or lasting memories are those first couple of years with that shift, those guys and gals, and because you're all relatively new. I mean, unless there happen to be, more senior officer that worked like working nights.
Yeah. Again, just to put a little frame around it so people understand, in law enforcement, everything is for the most part seniority based. And if you're a senior officer, you generally, with some exceptions, you generally are not going to willingly go to dog shift.
Right. Correct.
So new people, all the new people end up being together on dog shift, which I look at that and I'm like, that's actually a bad plan.
Poor supervisors, right? Yeah.
I blame
your money. Yeah. You earn your money as a supervisor.
I mean, I can think of a particular guy that you and I both know very well, worked nights for his entire career, with the exception of being an SRO for a few years.
Yep.
But you needed guys like that every once in a while because somebody needed to make a decision.
Right. Somebody needed to be dad. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. No, I remember those days.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that works for anybody who was wondering, like, well, why are you working nights? Well, because you didn't have a choice.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice. Yep. You did what you're told, and you were.
So what was your first? Okay, let me think of this. Can you remember your first ticket you ever wrote? I mean, do you have any idea? Some people say yes.
That's a good question. No, I can't. I can remember. I'll tell you my first call. It was an alarm. I mean, a very common. I mean, by the end of your career, how many alarms you've been on? Thousands. I remember my first alarm. It was at Home Depot.
Really?
And I was like, oh, that's a big one. You're doing everything right. And, stocking up and
fast forward 5 years. Another alarm.
You're just kind of old grizzled dad.
Was it a false alarm?
It was a false alarm.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Don't throw you in the deep end yet.
No, 99.999%.
Yeah, exactly.
False alarm, but you always, of course, you never want to have that mindset either.
Do you remember your first? Do you remember your first, like, I'll say big call? A death or bad crash or anything like that.
So day 2 of FTO. So this is phase 1, day 2. We just about shot a guy.
Oh, jeez.
It was a domestic. Long story short, this guy ends up in kind of a back room of an apartment, charging out with knives. And the sergeant had a less lethal beanbag shotgun that we no longer carry, little, updated version of what we now carry, or you guys carry, and shot him immediately. I mean, the sergeant is just an incredible officer. I mean, tactical mindset and very, very good. And he hit him with a beanbag and went down. And, and as a new guy, I was pretty much, told, okay, you stay here or stay behind us or even like into the hall a little bit because you're new and you probably shouldn't be in here kind of deal. But yeah, he came out, he charged out, and here he comes, and sergeant plugs him. And
thank goodness that the sergeant had the less lethal.
Yeah.
Because we know what option 2 is.
Right. Oh, I remember one of the other officers checking their gun. Like, did I shoot? I don't think I did, but I want to verify it didn't.
Wow.
Kind of deal. So yeah, that was day two. So
Did you kind of, I don't know, that did not happen to me. You know, it was a while before anything crazy like that happened to me. So my confidence level had gotten built. You're getting built up right now, you know, on phase one, you know, as far as your skill set. Did that cause you to pause, reevaluate? Is this really, or at this point, you're
no,
solid?
I
You're
mean,
good to
22
go.
years old, right? I mean, hard charger, you're going to change the world.
Oh, I
And the
remember.
mindset was more of, this is why I got into the job. Is
Wow.
to
Okay.
save lives and take down bad guys kind of deal. That was more of the mindset. I remember day 3 doing CPR on, you know, and looking back, just a real unfortunate situation, pretty traumatic for the family. But young guy had a heart attack, and dude, I could point the house to this day, you know, where that was, doing CPR. And that was day 3, and right in the living room, right in front of the family. He just fortunately went down right in front of everybody in the, you know, evening time, and doing CPR. So yeah,
Did that person live?
no,
Okay.
he died.
So that was your first experience with death, was a cardiac arrest.
Yeah, that was the first experience with death. Yeah, day 3. Yeah, and this is all. I don't really remember.
Is this all phase
one?
one?
This is all
Like
this is
day 2 and day 3 of employment?
yeah. This is week 1. Yeah, this is week 1.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't really remember day 1 necessarily. I remember my FTO saying, we sat down in the squad car. You know, I'm green as green. I'm new. I remember him starting off, okay, we're the police. You know, that was our starting point.
Well, that's good.
We're the police. Okay, now we go from here.
We are 911. Who's going to help me?
That was a busy.
Wow.
Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So, you know, but I don't remember what the population was at the time, but I mean,
We're I think close to 80,000.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. I'd probably all that. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of things happen, unfortunately, but
Wow. Okay. So I that's kind of something I always think about. Like, so what was your first experience, first ticket, first, you know, trauma kind of thing? So going on a patrol, you're a patrol officer. What specialty assignments did you start taking on? Because we all know there's plenty of opportunity out there if you want it.
sure. Well, I always had an interest in DARE students, a heart for them. However, when the opportunity arose with an opening there, it was selfishly a little bit more than the students. It was to get off dog watch.
Wow.
And because I never really did very well with nights. Like, I love the nights. I couldn't sleep during the day.
I think that tactic is still alive and well.
Yeah.
Just so you know,
God made our bodies to sleep at night and be up during the day.
hasn't changed
Not
much.
inverted. Yeah. I never could sleep during the day. I'd get a few hours of sleep and then I'd be up. So it was tough. It was a tough few years. Just even as a young guy, you know, I couldn't imagine what that would be like today. But even as a young guy, that was really hard. So when there was an opening to teach DARE, it guaranteed a day spot. So work patrol, but during the day. And I was like, yeah, I'm your guy. So, and there wasn't a lot of interest to teach DARE. You know, it's a little different. Most people don't get in law enforcement to go into a classroom and, you know, kind of do the
And at
warm,
that
fuzzy stuff.
time, is that the time when we had the one full-time DARE officer?
That's correct. Yeah.
So she was taking probably most of the classes. You just kind of had to fill in a couple here and there, I suppose.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a big enough city where there's a lot of schools, a lot of elementary schools, and DARE was still is for 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would be full-time DARE. She had as many schools as that her schedule could handle, but there were more schools and more classrooms to teach in. So there's a couple part-time DARE people. So that was.
So you were doing DARE and patrol.
That's right.
For a while.
Yep. And kind of depending on, you know, the semester, it was sometimes 2 days a week, sometimes 1 day a week. I mean, there was as many as 3 days a week, but I never had more than that. So yeah, it was like part-time DARE, mostly patrol work, and then part-time DARE. So that got me off of nights, and that was a nice reprieve. And actually taught DARE for many years. And you grew to love it.
I think you were teaching DARE when I started.
Is that right? Okay.
I think it must have been towards the tail end.
Yeah.
So I started in 2004.
Yeah.
At least with this agency.
Oh, yeah, I was definitely teaching DARE then.
Yeah. I was gonna say I thought you were a DARE officer at that time.
Yep, for sure.
You know, I got rooked into dare. Well, I'm
you
sorry, I say it a little different. I had the opportunity to teach.
Well, like
dare.
I mentioned, there wasn't a lot of interest. Most cops don't get into copying to go into a classroom.
Well. So my previous agency, and I won't get into the drama behind it, but my previous agency sent me to dare school.
Yeah. Which is not easy
without my desire to go to dare
and if
school.
you do not want to be at dare school, it's not the right place to be.
Right.
The rigor is actually quite tough. They make it probably tougher than India.
Yeah, and it worked out for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't happy because I was sent.
Oh yeah. Oh, I remember guys like you. I remember being, I was like, want to be there. I'm like, it was good. And then I remember several guys that just like,
I wasn't trying to
me
take it
outta
out
here.
on the dare instructors.
Yeah.
But I was like, my boss, he said, because I went in there and I said, I don't want to go, because I got the email, hey, congratulations, you're being sent to dare school. I'm like, wrong Mike. You must have sent this email to another Mike, because Mike's a common name. And the agency I worked before this agency that I'm at now, it was a big department as well. And there's certainly other Mikes in the department.
Sure.
And so I went in there, I said, no, this isn't wrong Mike. And he's like, no, it's the right Mike. I said, I didn't even put in for it. He's like, well, consider it a job assignment. I was like, whoa, oh man. So
voluntold.
Yes. Which we're not allowed to say, right? but so my experience as a dare instructor was negative at the beginning.
Yeah.
However, I will tell you that I was a convert. So that when I did end up teaching dare, I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
For the same reasons. I'm fairly relational and that came out, but yeah, my dare experience is a little different than yours.
Oh, I remember the poor guys who were in dare school because it's not easy. I mean, the rigor's hard. I mean, it's 2 weeks. You're away from your family for 2 weeks. You come home on the weekend, and they actually cut people. At least they did when I was there. They cut people from dare, which was like, okay, you're having trouble.
Yeah, I think we lost one instructor or one candidate.
It was like going back to college and tough couple.
Yeah, you had to study.
You did have to study.
You had to prepare because remember we had to do the presentations.
Oh, yeah, yep. Time
and teach this lesson.
Yep.
I'm like, oh man,
timing had to be right on, and
that was man.
Stuff.
I haven't talked about dare in so long.
Yeah.
I was like, what? But yeah, no, that was so outside of dare. What else?
Yeah, so let's see what else we have going on. We had a bike patrol. It's kind of a part time. I was on bike patrol SWAT team. I was on the SWAT team. I started on our SWAT team when I was a couple years in 2004-ish, I believe. I was on our SWAT team for how long was I on there for?
Long time.
Like 13 years or something like that. So many years on our tactical team.
You have any crazy SWAT stories to share?
Boy, yeah. There's just 13 years.
All of them?
All of them. Oh boy, that was a fun boy. The guys, on the SWAT team.
You had a crazy group, didn't you?
Oh, just a fun group.
Great group. Crazy.
Fun group. And SWAT team was the closest thing to sort of going back to the high school glory days of your football team. I mean, this is real world now, so SWAT team is very different than a high school football team. But that team camaraderie, you're not talking like people's lives, so that was very different. I mean, everything was just super wound tight and as it should be. But
so what kind of hazing occurred?
Oh,
because I know what happened.
Yeah,
I know that annual training. Those stories, they're kind of secrets, but
somehow I don't know if I was like a gap year or it didn't start till after me.
You got skipped?
I got skipped. I mean, don't tell anyone, but so we'd go up to Camp Ripley, for
I've
a week.
heard stories, man.
Oh man, somehow I just got bypassed. I don't know.
I think, for the record, for any listeners, hazing is strictly prohibited now, but back in the day, it was a thing and it was real. I've heard stories about dresses.
Camp Ripley was quite a place. It was serious. I mean, serious training during the day.
Yeah.
But serious goofing around in the evening.
All right. So you got no good hazing stories.
Oh no, I was never hazed. Oh, I witnessed several,
Did you participate in such
I was an observer, casual observer.
Sure.
I just noticed these things going on.
Because I would be really disappointed if I knew you did participate.
Yeah, I was just, I was just a witness.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what position? Tell me a little bit about your experience on the SWAT team. Is there
entry? So I was an entry.
I was going to say specific positions, or what kind of things?
I had the opportunity to be a sniper. That position came up. I was asked if I wanted to be a sniper, and I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take it. I didn't want it. I liked entry.
Mm-hmm.
I liked being right up there. My typical position for most of my time on the team was number 2. So bunker was often number 1.
Yep.
Great buddy of mine was my bunker man. I was number 2. I think back to just so many different.
Well, you're going to be one of the first couple of people.
First couple of guys, usually number 2 in
the line of fire.
That's right. And those are the guys that usually would take something if it was coming.
So I kind of a little bit of a bunny trail here, but just what's your wife think? What did she think of you being on the SWAT team? Well, that's an interesting. It's almost like this.
Right.
Oh,
as one would think.
I should really call her in here. She'll probably have stories.
You're right. Yeah. Tell us about this. How did you feel about the years of the SWAT? We're at family events or kids' games, as we sort of evolved in family life. And then being called, the pager goes off in the early days, and then your cell phone goes off in there. And you just get up and leave, and you say your goodbyes. And, this is kind of the stress I'm talking to. The pager goes off. This is what the pager says. We have, a whatever the scenario, you name it.
Barricaded,
right. And which was most often the call. Barricaded subject, maybe somebody inside kind of deal. And long guns mentioned or what have you. And so oftentimes it was, this is what I got. This is what I'm going to. I love you. Got to go. Goodbye.
I know from direct experience, asking a question of, do you think she worried about you, is just ridiculous, because we know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Did she ever express her concerns to you?
Yeah. It was, a officer's spouse, wife or husband, depending, of course, the family and the officer. Probably some of the strongest people that
amen.
you can imagine. We'll get the face of what's happening. People will sometimes acknowledge the level of stress. We get to be, hear that and people reflect off of that. As the officer, people acknowledge that stress. They don't always acknowledge the stress of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not intentional. It's just sometimes forgotten about.
Yeah.
And so I remember more often it was tears and hugs and a quick goodbye. Even I don't want to jump ahead here, but even my last day in uniform, that's what it was. We're heading down to a riot. And I remember we're sitting in my office, like you mentioned. I'm looking in the front yard, and I remember my wife standing in the front yard, just giving me the wave.
Here?
Right here.
Oh, wow.
I was called out from here, with tears in her eyes, and I'm just speeding away.
And that was, and I know we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, but that was some crazy times, man.
Yeah.
And we knew it.
Yeah.
We knew it. And I knew, I obviously I knew you were on that team. But that whole time period was absolutely insane.
It was insane. So insane to look back at. But yeah, just a lot of calls on the SWAT team, number 2 behind bunker number 1. I think of being with the FBI on a entry. We actually went ahead of the FBI team because it was in Plymouth. They were kind of a assisting agency. We had a bank robbery. I think you might have been on that. I don't remember. Maybe. Investigations in. So bank robbery, hostages ran out, barricaded. Long story. We did everything we could to get this guy out. The decision was made to make entry. So barricaded bank robber with the FBI team, with the news helicopters overhead filming live. For whatever reason, this one was really good for them, and it was midday, and they were.
I think I know. Well, depending on the disposition on this one, I might remember this one.
Yeah. So number 2, it was my buddy who I alluded to, number one, me number two, and just a lot of unknowns like that.
So let's, just because I want to be somewhat respectful, I'll tell you right now, we're going to eat this hour pretty quick.
Yeah.
But there's other things I want to talk about, because there's a lot of cool stuff that, that I'll just say God ordained scenarios. So let's I want to talk about one thing that is very, very impactful. And I know what's impactful to you just because I know your story. We had an officer in an agency next door to us that was killed, line of duty. And just kind of, if you're comfortable with this, kind of tell me about that day, because I know you were one of the first officers on scene, and I know that was a very impactful event, not only that day, but for months, if not years afterwards, if not today.
Yeah, today for sure.
Kind of tell me what happened.
Yeah. So, sounds cliche-ish, but it was just a day like every other, right? I mean, kind of.
Yeah, it sounds cliche, but it really is true.
You log in and not sure what the day's going to bring. And, so it was, I don't even remember the time of day. I think it was late morning, and I happened to be with two buddies. We're at one of the fire stations.
Coworkers,
yes, yeah, yep, partners. So we met at the fire station. We're just kind of chatting about whatever and drinking our coffee.
You're debriefing something.
Right? Yep. We're having a therapy session, and just talking about whatever. And the radio traffic is nonstop on the police radio. And you learn to cue into your call.
Certainly.
Your area, your city, what's happening. And I'll never forget it. As we're sitting there talking, we hear a different kind of voice on the radio yelling, "Officer down, officer down," and gave his location. And we knew the location was not, our city, but was just down the road. And this person happened to be somebody who was passing by, who got on the officer's radio.
Oh, so the voice was definitely different. Wasn't professional sounding. Okay,
wasn't the call numbers. It wasn't, anything professional that you typically hear. It was somebody who was traveling past, who went and used the officer's radio to call in for help.
That in itself just gives me the willies.
So there was no word spoken between us. We all just ran out. We all got in our squads and just drove as fast as we could to that, to that spot. We had an idea what had happened, but you never know. I remember the person sort of giving a description of what happened, but you never really know. So, lights and sirens as fast as we could.
I'm assuming which fire station you were at. That's like a 5-minute drive, maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't far.
Yeah,
yep, it's pretty quick. Yeah. And so the officer and then this citizen happened to be in the eastbound lane, and we're coming westbound. There's a little bit of a kind of a cement divider in the middle of the two lanes, from the eastbound to the westbound side. And we just got to the area, and I could see him on the other side of this divider. And, I wasn't going to take the time to go up and around and come back and park behind him and do all the things you typically do. Just park and grab my medical bag and jumped this divider and ran over there. And, the officer was down, and I knew I should back up a little bit too.
Do you feel comfortable saying his name? I mean, is that okay?
Yeah, I think
because
so.
I'll put a post on there, in honor of him, because
Sure.
So,
Yeah, I think that's okay.
did you know Bill beforehand?
Yeah, I knew Bill as a colleague, we're all kind of partners, right? Even if we're a different agency, as a partner. I didn't know a lot of the guys in their department, but I knew Bill.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, from calls, training. He was a firearms instructor. I was a firearms instructor.
Wow.
Went to school together. I remember responding to a call where Bill was involved with, and I should just pause and just really honor him too. I mean, just he was an amazing guy. What I knew and what I know now, he was just an incredible guy, just a beacon of sunshine for sure. But I remember a call, of course, well before this, a couple of years before this, that I went down to Wayzata when you are involved in a squad-related accident, you call a different agency.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mutual aid kind of call. So that's just to protect the integrity of what happened. You don't want any bias. And so it's always a little tough, right? I mean, you go to a different agency and maybe the officer's at fault, and always makes it a little uncomfortable, right? But it is what it is. And well, this particular time, Bill was clearly not at fault. This other lady had hit him and had, been driving how she shouldn't have and struck his squad. And I was investigating this, and I remember talking to Bill, and he's just, he's just fine about it, and kind of happy-go-lucky. And I remember asking him, "Hey, do you want me to?" You normally would. I said, "Hey, do you want me to give her a ticket?" I plan on giving her a ticket. He's like, "You know what? She's had a tough enough day already. She's good. Let's just let it be." So I was like, "All right."
Shows
I'll
character.
honor that. Oh, he's a great guy. Yeah. Yep. Just, I think anybody who knew him would describe him very similar. Just ray of sunshine.
I knew him, but not on that level. I mean, I'd cross paths with him on mutual aid calls, but I can't say I knew him. I think sounds like you know him fairly well.
Yeah. So now going back to that particular day, I remember, this is really weird. I remember sort of repeating this in my head as we're, going lights and sirens at 100 miles an hour there. I remember repeating, "Please don't be Bill." Just, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who it is. I don't know many of these officers, but please don't be Bill.
Because Bill, it sounds like, is one of the few guys that you knew well.
Exactly. Right.
Fairly well down there.
Yep. Exactly. So I get there at Park. I jump over the, the barricade and run over there, and I can see that it is Bill. I just, So yeah, so I was one of the first. I guess I don't even really remember what's going on around me, to be honest. I just, threw my medical bag down and started treating him however I could. Trying to give him any sort of aid and life-saving measures we could. And so that was my role at that moment.
Was it, and I want to just protect the family a little bit here and just be respectful of him. He got transported in.
Yep.
Was it apparent that he was not going to make it? Or could you tell? Maybe, you're a cop.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Did you ride in with them?
So didn't ride in the ambulance with him.
Okay.
But followed it. Well, let me back this up. So he's transported. We had basically a caravan leading the way. There's another Wayzata officer there. Yeah, and I want to be careful here too.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'll just say I didn't ride or follow directly the ambulance, but came there after.
Okay.
In a very quick way.
Okay.
Yep.
The I could tell just by looking at you that it's still on your heart. It's still on your mind. How, and I don't want to minimize and just skip over that whole incident because it's a big deal when an officer dies in the line of duty. But I also want to be respectful towards the surviving family and those that are impacted, and honestly, including you. So if there's more about that you want to speak about, go ahead. But I'm wondering, how did that whole incident impact you from that day forward?
Yeah.
I mean, this is heavy stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know if you and I have
stuff,
ever had this conversation.
I don't think we have. Yeah. And there's so much to that question, and it's a fair question. My heart immediately goes to the family.
Yep.
Like, there's a sense of guilt by talking about how it affected me.
Right.
When I know that there's a wife and a child without their husband, without their dad. And so that's probably the biggest tug in this situation, is not necessarily how it affected me, and it does, and I know it, but it feels selfish to even talk about that when I know that the real focus is how it's affecting them in their journey. So that's not an avoidance. I don't know. There's still
it's respect. It's respect. And there, it's a much bigger picture, but I guess suffice to say, because I don't want to go down a path that we don't want to go down. It's suffice to say that it impacted your outlook.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I know afterwards you spent a lot of time with that family.
They're just an amazing family. Boy, you talk about strength. You talk about a faith that, I mean, you talk about putting your money where your mouth is. I mean, there is a faith that is just alive and strong, and the strength that has come from the Lord to that family. Yeah, they are amazing. They really are.
As you interacted with the family afterwards, and that realization, that they were believers, kind of came together. Did that help you?
Oh, I
process things a little bit.
It did, and I think it just strengthened our bond. I mean, to this day, we're friends.
Yeah,
we were over there just a month ago. Yeah. There's.
And this was how long ago? I mean, roughly 5 years? No, maybe longer.
Yeah, it was longer than that. It was.
So knowing that they were believers, that kind of made it a little, I don't want to say easier, because there's still emotions there, but helped you maybe, and again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but kind of help you process and accept what you were dealing with that family a little bit.
Yeah.
I love the fact that maybe not love. I respect the fact that you said that you were just over there. So that relationship continues.
Yeah. I think it's a relationship, and it's a bond, and unfortunate, terrible. I shouldn't even use the word unfortunate, just a terrible situation, a terrible circumstance that has been forged because of it. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to this day. I mean, I grieve. I don't. There's a sense of guilt that I just have a real tough time to this day. That they have to live on earth yet without their husband and father, and just that pain and that level of pain, what's, what I've personally had to deal with because of that situation is just zero comparison. It's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
I get to come home. I get to see my wife and kids. They get to see me.
And I certainly realize that, but I don't want to dismiss the fact that it had a profound impact.
Yeah, it did. And
I'm not being disrespectful for the family, but it affected Aaron.
Yeah, it did. For sure.
Yeah.
And it does to this day.
Yeah.
And maybe you can see that. I apologize, but it does to this day. Yeah, absolutely. But there's hope. There's hope too, and the family will be the first to tell you. I mean, it's not the end of the story. It stinks.
Mm-hmm.
It's pain, but boy, with that is a great hope as well. And I think that's probably the bond in the relationship, in the friendship, as families. I mean, it's, my wife is as good of friends as me. And, she was just sort of along for the ride during most of it. But yeah, there's just a deep hope and not happiness, but a joy and what is to come.
I don't really know how to move on from
something I know
so
it. Yeah,
heavy, but I don't want to just get stuck there because it's about honoring and respecting Bill.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other parts of your career and life that I want to talk about. Go from one heavy to another heavy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your retirement.
That's an easy heavy. That's an easy heavy for me. The other one's a hard heavy. It really is.
Well,
it's hard to talk about, and
do you talk about it much? I mean, do you
Yeah.
have the opportunity to talk about Bill and?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
more internal. I mean, we as a family, it's always hard to bring up, and I'm not gonna bring it up, but most people don't know. But people are back to life, right?
Yeah,
And that's the other sort of heaviness in it too. People are back to life. Things happen, and they see something on the news or they hear about something you're involved with, and they move on with life, and we all do, and not everybody gets that opportunity to just move on how things were. Things are very different.
so we'll go from a super heavy to maybe a medium heavy.
Yeah.
A different kind of heavy. But as we've talked about, you've retired, and retire is such a weird word because you weren't retirement age.
Yeah. I wasn't planning on retirement.
It wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, hey, I'm done at the end of the month.
Yeah,
Hey,
it was.
let's talk about that a little bit because I'm interested. So one of these special assignments that you had that you chose to take on was, what was it technically called?
Yeah. So what was our title? I mean, we were a mobile field force.
So this would have been
it's a riot response team. Yeah. I mean, let's say mobile field force. People are like, what?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Riot squad.
Yeah, riot squad. I mean, we had mobile field force during the RNC in 2008. The RNC, Republican National Convention, came to Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah.
But that was a short-lived team. I mean, there was a lot of training for about a week's period of time, and that was quite a week. But
so you got put on mobile field force.
So mobile field force, yep, right response team,
and really the incident that occurred was an officer involved shooting that somebody tragically died by mistake. The officer,
right.
The officer, I will say this: the officer made a mistake and was trying to go for her taser, I think, and instead went for a firearm. So it was an accident. I will say it's an accident. But a certain group of people apparently didn't appreciate that, or I don't want to say appreciate. Gosh, that's a terrible way to say it. Didn't see it that way, and so one of our neighboring cities just kind of broke loose. Is that a really short way of?
Well, it is, and the only thing that add to that is this is a tense time already. I mean, we had George Floyd. We were coming up to the year anniversary of George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
And the anticipation is there could be things that are going on, demonstrations, riots.
As a result of the George Floyd anniversary.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So this was in that time frame, close to it. So tension's already building, and then this occurs.
Okay.
And so we were actually preparing for, your 1 year anniversary, whatever happens, if they're peaceful demonstrations or riots or somewhere in between. So we're kind of planning on this. And there's a lot of media coverage and all the things that are happening too. So this happens really during that, that tense time. So you kind of have that underlying tension going on as well. So yeah, and that's a fair description. That's exactly what happened. And I remember where I was actually, let me think. I was right out here in my entryway, and one of my partners called me, who was on the team, our riot response team, mobile field force, and he said, "Hey, I'm at this scene. I want you to know what happened," because he responded in mutual aid.
Oh yeah, yeah, because we had sent officers up.
We had sent officers, and a lot of other agencies had it as well. But I want you to know that what's building here, and that we're likely going to be called out as a team, as a mobile field force. It's like, okay. So I had a little bit of heads up, but this is just, minutes really before we get the official page. So I get the page, respond in. So what's happening, and kind of alluded to it before, said my goodbyes, and my wife's in the front yard waving and tears coming down. And we, by all sounds of it, things were really, the tension was building, and it was not going to be a good night. So yeah, took off to the department, got in the gear, and responded out to the scene.
So explain when you got to the scene, which is funny because anybody could Google this and really figure it out. But we're not. Yeah. I don't need specifics. I don't care about locations or anything like that. But when you got to the scene, what'd you see? What'd you smell? What did it look like?
It's chaos, is what it is. You have.
Was there any control at that point? I mean, or was it just people throwing stuff? I mean, paint me a picture. What were you looking at?
So it was really being held up by responding officers at the scene, who had responded out. They're trying to protect the scene itself for the integrity of the investigation. So they're basically trying to hold off protesters, or however you want to describe what their actions were at the time, from taking the scene over, so that the BCA could have integrity of the scene. Basically, it's undisturbed, so they could do their investigation.
How many protesters when you got there, are we talking 5 or are we talking 500?
Well, they kept coming while we're there. So I would say, boy, my best guess, maybe when we got there, was 100. And it felt like it grew by the minute. And it felt like they were quite prepared, as if, almost as if someone was anticipating something happening, and they responded accordingly. And what I mean by that is, for example, a big truck showed up with large speakers pointed out the back. Now, maybe somebody had that. Maybe that was part of their normal setup. But I guess in my everyday driving and commuting, I typically don't see pickup trucks with large speakers pointing backwards that appear to be for a public address kind of.
So there was more than just like kind of reactionary response. It seems like
I had that impression.
Planning.
I had that impression. Now, I wasn't part of any of the aftermath investigation.
This is just your feelings.
I don't know. This is just my feelings. My feeling is that the people who came were prepared for some sort of demonstration. And so my gut says maybe for the year anniversary of George Floyd, what was coming up.
Yeah. That would make sense. That would make sense.
And this just happened to happen, prior to that. So that was my gut feeling. So it was loud. I mean, painting the picture, it was loud. And the reason I bring up the speakers is because these are such large speakers. They're just overwhelming the scene with noise. And, people yelling and signs and it was just, it was chaotic. And my role on that team was I was part of a CART team, chemical reaction team. So the guys basically who are launching the gas or the chemical munitions, etc. I wasn't the launcher or the one with the gas. I was what's called an overwatch. So I'd actually carry a long gun, and I was just kind of a overwatch, a lethal coverage overwatch, just in case this turns into a lethal, scenario, because they're tied up, they're busy,
in case it went from terrible to more terrible.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So that was my role, and communication between officers was tough, and these things, you prepare them. Part of the RNC, you kind of have an idea what this looks like, smells like, feels like, but the communication really comes down to like walking down the line and communicating with each other, or hand signals, because your radio's out. You just can't hear it. And it's just chaos. And there's, updates and background noise and all this stuff.
You guys had a plan of hand signals if needed.
Correct.
That's good planning.
Yeah.
Anticipatory planning.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So really the goal was just to hold an area, hold this particular line. And I should back up to move up to a line and then hold that line. There was, a couple squads up there trying to do this work, and was to push the protests back a little bit so that the BCA could have their space, their ability to, independently investigate what happened so that they could do what they need to do and just protect the scene. So that was the goal. And so there was an attempt to push the line back or to get them to back up. There's some squad cars that were in there, and somewhere in this time frame, somehow they got some rocks or some landscape bricks, and I don't even know what they were. Thinking back, I think they might have been somebody's landscape, like bricks, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe they were just
talking about like retaining wall type,
like retaining wall, something like that, some sort of rock brick kind of structure. And so then squad cars started to be smashed, windows smashed out, and we're continuing trying to push them back. And somewhere in there, I remember just looking up, and there's one of these rocks, bricks, whatever it is, maybe 10 feet from me, heading right in my direction through
airborne,
Ooh. coming in, almost like a football was coming in. And where that was launched from, I'm not quite sure. How far, I don't know. I mean, somebody either strong or launched it well, or I'm not quite sure. Mm-hmm. But I remember just looking up, and this thing's airborne, and it's coming right at me. So, being on this CART team, my gun's slung, so I was able to just, hands off, and I put my hands up in almost sort of this like defensive position, almost like this, protecting myself, and it hit my hands and went off to the side, and
so you blocked it.
So it blocked it. Yeah, it was kind of this, something like that. I don't remember exactly.
Probably didn't look pretty.
Yeah, I'm sure it didn't. Kind of back to my football days, right? What are you doing?
Catch the ball, Aaron.
But I remember my left hand, when that happened, was a 10 out of 10 pain. Well, maybe I should give it a 9. I feel like I feel like childbirth should be reserved for the 10 out of 10. So we'll go with a 9 out of 10.
Oh, your wife.
I don't want to take, right.
Your wife will appreciate that.
I don't want to take anything from that. But it was significant pain. And I remember seeing my gloves are ripped up.
Did you have a gas mask on at this time, or?
Oh, let me think. Do we have a gas mask on? Yeah, we had gas masks on.
So helmet, gas mask,
yeah, helmet,
gloves?
gas mask, gloves. All the gear, all the riot gear, all the protective equipment, and right on down the line, chest guard, shin
But a
guards.
big rock is not gonna.
Yeah,
Gloves aren't helping.
No, the gloves aren't helping. They're good gloves, but they just whatever they did in that moment, they just ate right through the gloves.
So 10 out of 10.
Yeah, so 10 out of 10 pain in my left hand, and I'm thinking this is not good. So, but it's just so chaotic. You kind of do what you need to do in the moment, and you all have your roles, and it wasn't until
Real quick, as goofy as this may sound, now you blocked this rock, brick, or whatever it was that was thrown at you. Did ever at one point when you had that 9 out of 10 pain, did you like, man, did I just get shot? I mean, did that ever come across? Like,
no, I thought my hand was broken. Like,
okay.
Yeah, in my mind I said, oh, my hand is broken.
Okay.
Yep.
And
something
did you put it together with the rock?
Oh yeah, I knew it. Yeah, I mean it was an
rock,
easy,
that
it was
rock
an easy
just broke my
conclusion.
hand.
Yes, for sure, it was an easy conclusion. Yep, I knew it was the rock. I knew it was here, block. Oh, my hand.
Okay.
So it was an easy conclusion. In my mind, my hand was broken.
Okay.
Yep. But there's no chance to like tap out. You'd be like, oh, I'm out. It's not a training scenario. There's no one to tell. Who am I going to tell?
Yeah.
Eventually that happens, but where do I go? So you just kind of work through it and deal with it. And that's what happened then for the next several minutes until I had the opportunity to notify my supervisor. Once we were able to, have a moment of a little bit more control, we've now gotten the line to move back. We've protected these squad cars. We're just holding. And it was in that moment my sergeant was making a pass by and I said, hey, I broke my hand. And he's like, what? I said, yeah, my hand is broke or something like that. I'm telling him. I remember saying those words and it's, well, you can kind of see my hand now. I'm holding it up. It's kind of a wonky looking thing, isn't it? And this finger was stuck in a 90 degree. I mean, it was just a perfect angle. It was up into this 90 degree and it was stuck there.
Like a normal bending finger, or was it like 90 and out?
Like a normal bending.
Oh, okay.
Yep. It's like that.
Oh,
so that's, and through the gloves and there's rips in my gloves, but that's what it looked like. And I kind of hold my hand up. He's like, what the, and,
sure he said more than that.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well, and if I told you what sergeant was, you're like, oh yeah, he definitely didn't say that.
He used different words, big boy words.
Yeah.
Any blood? Was it bleeding or was it just?
Yeah, it might have been some surfacey blood.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like you're bleeding out or anything like that.
No. It's it's in the glove, so whatever is bleeding, and again rip, but it's probably being absorbed by the blood or the glove for the most part.
Did he pull you off the line at that point, or you remove yourself from the line?
So what happens then is he pulled me off the line, found a replacement, and I, because really my hand was, incapable of really doing a whole lot and stuff to do much with all the left hand. So I'm pulled off the line and really given a position, traded position for one of the more subtle roles that's going on back closer to the investigative scene itself, with a couple of uniform officers. It was just basically, maintain this position. There wasn't any chaos happening there. There really wasn't anything. It was just, a little bit more of a uniform. So pulled off that direct line and put in a different spot for the time being. So then eventually when the BCA is done with their investigation, there's real no reason to stick around necessarily. Things are cleared, their investigation's done, and things are moved is when our team then pulled out. So that's what, we did as a team, and we all kind of marry up and then pull off from the scene then. But by that time, it feels like the whole world's erupting because then the radio communication, I mean, this word's getting out. This wasn't local to the scene itself. The city feels like it's blowing up at this point. We're getting a lot of tension. I mean, we're getting reports of shots fired into that police department. We're getting reports of people descending to the police departments, and and the worry was, is this going to be another police department takeover kind of deal? So that was
like Minneapolis.
A
year before. Yeah. Lost the 3rd precinct. It was 3rd precinct, wasn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and they had the 4th prior to that, and then the 3rd. And then reports of looting. There's looting happening around the city, and just people coming out of the woodwork. And
so did you guys redeploy, or what? I guess where did your team go from
that? Yeah. So of course there needs to be a little organization, and it sounds like all accounts people are descending upon the police department. So it's, routes in and out are almost impassable. So there's a very momentary command post setup, or rally point, I should say. It wasn't a command post, but kind of a rally point that was set up with the resources that were in our area, including us. So we marry up at this rally point. Command post is being established. We get our orders. It's by this time I have a little bit more time to talk to my sergeant. What happened? This is what happened. This is my hand. Oh, this is weird. This is not good. There were some medics on scene who looked at it, and I remember them saying, okay, that's not good. That looks bad.
Thanks for your professional.
And their recommendation is, you should have a look at ASAP. But there's this weird.
You think?
Yeah, I know it. I mean, I just common sense, right? But there's this weird internal desire to not leave your partners.
Oh, of course.
And I couldn't get in the rig with them and, okay, let's go. Because at this point, it feels like everything's blowing up and we're in this together. So I said, okay, we'll do that after. We'll do that after things settle down. So I did switch out. Of course, my hand's not working quite properly. We switched out. One of the guys took my spot. I became a backpack guy. Essentially, I'm now lugging around. And, I don't need a hand for that. I just need a back that's semi-operational and, some shoulders to put the backpack on. I'm now carrying the munitions for this chemical reaction team. So that became my new role. So after the marrying point and being checked out briefly, then we get our next orders. It was basically, in all intents and purposes, get to the police department as fast as you can, because bad things are happening. Yes,
protect the building,
and we can't get there really how one would normally get there because roads are being blocked off, cars are being parked in the middle of the road.
Sounds like absolute chaos.
It was chaos. It's hard to describe the level of chaos. Weird, like movie weird. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. So we formulated a plan to come in sort of this backside to cut a fence, like literally cut through a chain link fence, sneak through these like industrial areas and get to the police department. That's how we ended up getting to the police department. Wow. While we're en route, and we're in minivans, so our mobile field force is part of, we've got these convoys where we have minivans because it's easiest transport, and you don't want to be necessarily known as you're coming and going.
Right.
And I remember at one point, as we're making our way to this sort of route we came up with, that we're driving through crowds of people, and there was a point, and I remember seeing people with guns. My partner, I'm in the passenger seat. My partner who's driving, we're literally saying, okay, if you get shot right now, this is a hospital we're going to. I'll take tourniquet. You do this. We'll go to this hospital. I mean, you're honestly thinking that these things very well could happen now, because we're making our way through this crowd and there's people with guns, people yelling, swearing. At one point in this drive to the spot that we're going to try to come in through the back route, a group, it gets kind of slow because there's pedestrians. They figure out that we're the police.
Oh boy.
And they're pounding on windows, trying to hold on to our vans as we're driving by, trying to open doors. Again, people with guns. I mean, it was wild. It was wild. I mean, just right out of a movie script. So, and we're doing what we can to get there. Wasn't always driving on the road, but we didn't want to hit people either. So we make it. Eventually, we make it to the police department.
Wow. And then just hold up there? I mean,
Just hold up there. And that's really where officers were for the next, what was it, week?
Oh, yeah, at least.
I mean, that was kind of the,
I remember watching videos.
yeah.
I was never up there, but I was watching videos of, body camera videos and just, news video. And it's like, oh my goodness, it looks like, it was bizarre.
It was bizarre. It was crazy. And I've never experienced such hate. The RNC was a little different. It was protests. It was, there was a night of rioting in the RNC, but it felt very different because the RNC, it was like their target was to disrupt the convention. These riots, we were the target. The hate was directed towards us. I mean, you had people all night long, feet from you, saying the most vulgar things of hatred against you, your family, spitting. I mean, like genuine hatred towards you. And I know this lasted for the entire week. And so, yeah, that evening until we were eventually replaced was quite crazy.
So I want to talk a little bit about like that next phase. So you're replaced. I'm hoping you went and got your hand checked out.
Yeah. So I did. Yeah.
So
yep.
What was the end result of that? What was wrong?
So,
Hey dog.
Went to the emergency room. Yeah. Went to the emergency room right after, we're replaced. Then your shift kind of ends. You go back to the police department, change into some normal clothes and go to the ER. And, they take a look at it and they say, well, it's not good. And, see a specialist in the morning was basically it. So they put me up in a brace in the hand and the finger and see a specialist in the morning. And that's what I did and had some imaging done. And so long story short, there's a torn tendon in one of my fingers. So
real quick, I want to back up because I'm thinking of my wife, right? I'm thinking, we've got rules at our house. If I get hurt at work, I'm just going to assume you called your wife at some point because if
it's
not,
a good point. Yeah.
Because I know your wife and I know you. I'm like, I know you called her.
I did.
What did you tell her?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, when did you get an opportunity to say,
well,
hey?
it would have been back at the police department because you don't, at least I didn't bring my phone out there.
Okay.
You don't know if your car's going to be broken into. You don't know.
Yeah.
And your phone kind of becomes your personal, property.
So
and
you get back and you call her?
So get back, call her and tell her, hey, I'm okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
However, my hand's a little goofy. And so I'm going to the ER now.
Did she, because my wife and I've had this conversation. I'll always start out with the conversation like, I'm okay. When you said, hey, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that was the code word that she knew that something wasn't okay?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Probably.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah, right. It's like your kid going, yeah, okay. We're all okay, but
man.
Yeah, it's probably.
Does she have any words of wisdom for you at that time?
Oh, I don't even really remember what that conversation was. You're just how many hours in it? And I'm talking hours.
You're probably
this is hours and hours later. I mean,
absolutely exhausted at this point.
Yep. So one of my partners brings me over to the ER and, I get seen by a doctor and, night 7 in the ER is, they triage and they kind of refer you out. So it's kind of what happens from there. So, yeah. So then I'm brought home. I'm brought home by, cause I'm in such pain and jacked up hand and my partner actually drives me home. So my vehicle is there and he drives me home. And that's really where more of kind of this communication takes place with my wife. Cause I remember we came in through the door and partner came in with me and he just wanted to kind of see me all the way through and hugs and, tears from my wife and probably more relief on her part too, just seeing all this happen.
To see you standing upright probably was a big deal.
All this stuff on the news and, social media and everything else. Yeah. Yep.
So you went to a specialist.
Kind of what, anybody with an injury sort of knows the experience and go through imaging and then you find out in imaging and surgery was set up for that week because 2 or 3 days later, I don't remember. Hand surgery. I had a wonderful surgeon, hand specialist with TCO, just a great guy. And surgery. And then really rehab starts immediately. I mean, you're wrapped up for a few days, and I don't remember what that timeline was, but they want to get your hand moving pretty quick.
Yeah, I suppose the more it sits idle, the more problems it could present, I'm sure.
Correct. Yeah. So start rehab pretty quick thereafter. And I mean, you could fast forward then a year and a half later.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into a whole lot. I mean, if you want to, you can, but obviously you couldn't work at this time because your hands messed up.
Yeah, light duty was my experience.
So what did the office have you doing?
So, well, let's see. What did I do at the beginning? I felt like I was just like sitting around
looking at spreadsheets.
I was looking at spreadsheets or something for a little while. And then eventually the decision was made, hey, it used to be in investigations. Why don't you come up there and you can get some of these cases that we can work on over the phone or the computer. And
I was up there for that.
You were. That. And I mean, that was a win. I felt like, okay, I can actually contribute a little bit now and do something instead of staring at the corner. And
so how long, were you out of, I mean, I know it's a loaded question, but how long from injury that you were fighting to come back?
Yeah, it was a year and a half. And there was a second surgery in there too.
Wow. And just wasn't working.
Yeah, it wasn't working. So my problem became scar tissue. Just really encased itself in my hand. And if you know anything about scar tissue, if you have it, it's a son of a gun. And everybody's body reacts a little differently as far as their production of scar tissue. And I guess my body really likes to overheal, and that's what
overheal.
What
a nice way of saying it.
Well, and scar tissue is a beast because it seizes everything up. It's not, I'm not a medical doctor, and I mean the hand is such a amazing, complicated thing that everything is so interconnected. But scar tissue just seizes all that up, and it's painful. I mean, it's painful to touch, painful to move. I mean, I've got no movement here, but when something decides to move it for me, it's not a pleasant experience.
It hurts.
It hurts.
Wow.
It
so if I was, I'm not going to, but if I was to come over there and pull down on that finger, it would.
Oh yeah, just send me through the roof. And this happens daily. It really does. It really wasn't a one and done sort of injury. It's like a daily reminder. I bump it all the time. Your brain acclimates and sort of, figures out how to do things with kind of your first few digits. But I jam it on stuff. I hit it on stuff. Yeah, and it sends me through the roof daily. I did genuinely every day this happens.
I'm sorry.
Through the roof.
That's not.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
So were you ever able to return to work? I mean, what
no, other than light duty. I mean, and I always was a little in denial, like maybe not denial. I always had the mindset. I remember telling my captain, I'll be back, it's gonna be a little bit longer now, I guess, I just got to have another surgery. I'm coming back.
So you really thought
100%
you would be able to?
100%.
At what point did you come to the realization?
It was towards the end. It happened kind of suddenly towards the end. I mean, we're a year in, you're over a year in, and things just don't get better. And whatever point that was, it was towards kind of the latter part of this. I start to realize, okay, this might be different than what I was thinking it was going to be. So I had a little shift in mindset towards the end there. And then really when you know that, and then doctors know it, and things happen pretty quick. I mean, it's a pretty quick process thereafter. All of a sudden you're kind of done.
So this is a work-related injury, right? So workman's comp is involved.
Yeah.
How was that dealing with those folks?
Do you
still have nightmares?
Yeah.
I'm making some assumptions here.
Yeah, it's a safe assumption. It's a weird process. Yeah.
Not a pleasant.
No, it's not. It's a very contentious process. I mean, without getting into all the details and negotiations, I mean, that's never been my world. Like I
Right.
was never a union
Right.
steward. That's just not a world I enjoy. And you put your heart and your soul into somewhere for so long, and then that process is not fun. It really is not.
And this is Mike speaking. I'm just imagining kind of, because I watched that from the outside, and it just kind of feels like when something like that happens, it becomes about ones and zeros, and personalities and lives, if you will, get kind of kicked to the side, and it just feels dirty.
Yeah.
It just, that's just me speaking. I certainly don't want, I don't want to put words in your mouth by any means, but that's just the way it looks from the outside. I will ask you this question though. If somebody who's listening to this or an officer finds themselves in a situation, should they get an attorney?
Yeah, that's a good question.
To kind of help them through this process, or were you able to?
Yeah.
I mean, or can we navigate it by ourselves?
No, you can't navigate. Yeah, David,
You're almost losing your breath over there, going,
man,
"No, no,
I
no."
know. Yeah, because you're right. It's a process, and
you're not an expert.
it's very busy. Oh no, I didn't know any of this. There's things that I wish I would have known in my career, sort of setting myself up that would have been a whole lot better. That I was just naive and didn't know. And it is what it is. I have no ill feelings, but it would have been a better scenario coming out at the end. So, but to answer your question, you got to talk to somebody, you got to talk to an attorney, and just have somebody next to you and helping you out, and because it's not something you can really go through on your own.
Well, they're the professionals.
They're the professionals.
I mean, you were a cop. That's what you know. You know cop stuff.
Yeah.
Attorneys know the law.
Yeah.
So
it becomes a business transaction.
Wow. When you say business transaction, you cut emotions out.
Yeah.
It's business. Yeah. Well, wow. I mean, I know, again, personally, as somebody who was a coworker of yours, and I'd like to believe a friend of yours, it was tough watching from the outside because we could all identify with Aaron. That could be me. That could be me. And it was surreal, maybe is a word to watch, even from the outside, especially because you were up in investigations with us. So we got to have some conversations throughout that process, and I think you took the high road, from what I could tell, and while I think it absolutely sucks that you had to leave that way, because I know that wasn't your plan. I'm happy to say that God had a bigger plan for you. Yeah. And that's what I want to hit a little bit right now, unless there's something else you want to talk about there.
Well, and I think that's the bullseye. I think that's the main point here, is just what you said. So I tend to get a little long-winded, and probably like my father, I'll give you 5 minutes of background before I answer your question. I don't want to neglect the doors that the Lord has opened. Yeah. So let's go there.
So you and just to kind of put a cap on that, your entire adult life, 22 years, as you said earlier, you're half of your alive life. You are a cop. You are a cop. I'm sure there's a little bit of identity to that. It's who you are. It's what you know. What am I going to do outside? I mean, those are just normal questions, right? That we ask ourselves as human beings. That door suddenly not only closed, but it slammed shut on you.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
That had to be pretty hard to.
It was, because I knew my plan. My plan was, well, as I mentioned, when I started, was going to work until I was 50, because that was the retirement age and there wasn't much of a penalty.
Yep.
And I got switched, mid-career to 55. Okay, fair enough. I'm working until I'm 55. I knew my plan. Then, I had it all laid out. You knew your numbers for the most part.
I got them in my head.
You know them. Yeah.
My plan.
So the countdown is on. I mean, you can take the calendar when you're 30 years old and start Xing the days off, and you know what life's going to look like. And so, yeah.
So how did the Lord take care of you and your family?
Yeah.
Afterwards?
So you mentioned earlier that it was a real crazy time in law enforcement, and it was. And here's the part that I've sort of looking back on I've been able to identify too as just another way the Lord has moved in this is I remember during this pre-injury having the conversation with my pastor, my friends, my family. I don't know how I can do this career, so many more years. And I think every cop has probably said that.
Oh yeah.
But it was really tough. It was really tough, and you're living it now. And I think the Lord probably knew what that maybe meant, and without me knowing what that meant a few years from then. I don't know what burnout feels like when you're in it, but I could tell you looking back, I might have been on the front side of that. I don't know. I know it was hard. I know it was a hard time, a hard career. A lot of tough things had happened in the career to that point, and feeling like, boy, how can I do this for the next so many years? So then you fast forward, really just not even in the front of the mindset, doing your job, the door slams. And again, it wasn't even it was a slam. It wasn't a slow close because I always thought I was coming back. I thought, I thought, and again, like I mentioned, I told my captain, don't call me onto the schedule. Put me in the schedule for next year. We're good. We're good. And then all of a sudden Monday I was like, well, no, we're not good. This door closed quick. Yep. So
did you, I know you're a believer, and I know at the end of the day, I know you believe that the Lord has plans for us. Internally, did you struggle with that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how you wouldn't.
Well, cause you're in it and you're like, why? I mean, why? I didn't want things to end.
Right.
And part of the reflection that I just alluded to previous, sort of this pre-burnout, if it was, I don't know, is sort of a past reflection. In the moment, I don't want this to end.
Yeah.
I don't want to retire. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I've got my plan. I'm working till 55. I've got kids to put through college and, all the stuff.
Yeah. And let's throw that in there. I mean, your kids at that time were teenagers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you have financial support.
Oh, yeah.
There's a very
bills.
real thing.
Yeah, for
life,
sure.
As you said earlier, life goes on.
Yeah.
And life is going on, and you need to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. See, I don't know. This is my perspective, but I don't know how you could be in this field and not be a believer. That's just me. Because the stuff we see, the stuff we deal with, the stuff that happens, it's not normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're going to be in tailspin.
I just,
without being grounded.
You need to be grounded somehow. So the Lord grounded you through this process.
Yeah, for sure. And to answer your question, it's hard to see it in the moment.
Oh, of course.
You believe it. You say it. You walk accordingly, but it's hard to see.
Did you have any arguments with God during that process?
Oh, I'm sure I did. I don't, you hear about people being, kind of going through different phases or mad. I was never mad.
Yeah, I never saw you upset.
No. I mean, you're mad, I guess, peripherally of what's going on. But I mean, internally, I still trusted the Lord. Yeah. I don't get it. I don't want this to be done. I mean, that's my life. These are my buddies. I mean, the family, the PD is close almost as your family at home.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. The dichotomy of a law enforcement family is very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like sometimes they're like siblings. You love them, and then you hate them, and then you love them, and
right.
It's I've explained to a few people. It's like you actually spend more time with your law enforcement coworkers with stress and so you tend to bond than you really do at home.
Yeah.
And people sometimes forget that. And it's like, well, what about everybody who works a normal job? Yeah, not everybody's going through life and death scenarios with their coworkers when you're working Monday through Friday at whatever, pick your white collar business.
That's very true. Yeah.
But I want to get into this next step a little bit. I don't want to just hang on this transition piece, because bottom line is you weren't able to come back.
Yeah. Yep.
And so what do you do? What did you do afterwards?
Yeah. So then you're done. And then, this is a line of duty injury. So you've got that. And, there's some stability in your line of the duty injury, with
the elephant in the room. There's a financial piece.
Yeah, there's a financial piece.
You get some help there because it was work related. That's understandable.
Yep. Now, is it like what you're gonna sail into the sunset? No, it's not. I think there's actually a perception that it's like
you become a millionaire when you get
millionaire.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If that was the case, you probably wouldn't be here. You'd be in Jamaica or something.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. So there is some peace there for sure, and some blessing. But, I got to work. I got to get a job. So I'm done. And one thing that work comp was able to help with was a job coach.
Oh, okay.
Which is really
See, now this is interesting because not a lot of people know this.
Yeah. I don't know when the last day. Well, you're kind of a entrepreneur sort of mindset. I mean, you probably have an updated resume. I didn't. Yeah. I never even looked at my resume since I was in college. I'd never been in an interview other than like an internal department interview.
Well, you said something earlier that, I mean, I didn't laugh at you, but before we started recording, it said I finally quit my first job. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
things
been a cop your whole life.
My whole life. That's all I knew. All I knew was copping.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the only world. So
you updated your resume.
Well, they updated it for me. Yep.
Thank you.
I basically, it was helpful. It was. We went through mock interviewing.
Really?
Where to apply for jobs.
Okay.
I didn't have to know necessarily.
Right.
So it kind of took me through that process. Eventually I landed with, of all things, oddly, the USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture.
The obvious look on my face is how?
Like, what? Yeah. Well.
Cop to agriculture.
I know. So the short answer is I saw it posted on Indeed.
Okay.
And I thought, that sounds kind of cool. So
sounds like a job.
Sounds like a job. Yeah. And you're kind of looking for something.
Right.
I didn't know what. I had no idea. I mean, I would have conversations on end with my job coach. And I would tell her, and she knew it. I'd tell her, we're asking me to rebrand myself after all these years. This is all I know. I have no idea what I want to do. But we're asking me to do it ASAP. And that was not easy. So I remember where I was. So I actually applied. I see this ad on Indeed, and working with farmers and some data stuff.
And if Indeed wants to sponsor the show, just get a hold of me.
Right on. And so I applied. I never heard anything. A couple weeks went by. I still saw it posted.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I did what I thought you do. I applied again.
You applied for the same job twice?
I did. Yeah.
Well, they're not getting back to me.
That's right. Well, I never heard anything the second time either. Oh. So a couple more weeks go by, and I remember where I was. I was waiting in line to pick up my kid from school. Long carpool line. Like, it's one of these lines that the way they have, the infrastructure of the area is not great. So you got to be there like 45 minutes early to pick up your kid. Otherwise you'll never get a spot in line. So I always had a little time while I'm sitting there waiting.
Because you're unemployed.
I'm unemployed. Yes. Yeah.
I got some time.
I'm the deadbeat dad picking up his kid.
Wow. Oh, wow. I wouldn't go that far, but hey.
So I see it advertised again, and I'm like, you know what?
Third time.
I'm like, I don't know how any of this works, but I'm gonna just start calling people. So I remember I called. I don't even remember how I got a number, like Google USDA or something, or locally or whatever it is. And I get one person, they transfer me to another, and then another, and then another. Pretty soon I'm transferred to Washington, D.C. And I got a voicemail. Somebody in Washington, D.C. with the USDA. I have no idea who they were. And I left like a 2-minute voicemail about why I was their right guy, why I would be good as the person they needed. And
so, Mr. Rebranding, what did you say?
yeah, I don't remember. I honestly don't remember.
Was it like a word salad? I mean,
Sure it could have
maybe.
been.
That is fascinating.
So I kid you not, I'm sitting in line and my phone rings like 15 minutes later. Whom would turn out to be my supervisor called and said, "Hey, I heard you applied. We have this impromptu interview over the phone." And she says, "Would you like a job?"
Wait a second.
Yes. So, and I'm thinking, this is how it works, I guess.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so
you gotta be kidding me.
So that began my.
So who cares about Indeed?
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Forget it, Indeed. I don't need you.
Could be. Could be. I have no idea.
Oh my goodness. Are you serious?
Yeah. So that's how I landed that job. So I was working with farmers, commodity, data, a lot of data stuff. Everything the USDA does runs off of data, real-time data. How do they get that? Well, they employ people like me to collect it, talk to farmers, set up plots and cornfields and bean fields and go out to the chicken coops and talk to the farmers. And so kind of real-time commodity stuff.
Now, not that I think that job couldn't have some fascinating aspects, but I really want to go to this next step.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really want. You quit.
Well, I did quit. Yeah. I quit. I tried quitting 3 times, but I eventually.
You tried quit. You can't even quit the federal government. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm not sure how that either. Maybe they call them DC again.
You can't get hired until you bully somebody.
Yep.
You can't quit because they won't let you go.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm making light of it a little bit, but I'm really excited about this next part because it's right where you need to be. And I've always, if I haven't told you this, I hope I have, because if I'm not, I feel like a failure, but I've always watched your family from afar, whether it's through conversations or Facebook. And I've always been impressed by your family focus. And I think that really, whether it's with your boys or with your wife, we're not perfect. And I'm not trying to inflate you to somebody who you're not, but I have always held you higher because I know you love your boys and I know you love your wife and I know you're a believer. And when I get to put all that together and just watch it from the outside, it's cool. It's cool to watch. So how did this spin in? Let's talk about this transaction or transition from boots on the ground USDA worker to where you're at now. Let's first of all, where are you at? What are you doing now?
Yeah. So my current employment, I guess my title will be Director of Student Ministry. It's at our church.
So you're working at a church.
Working at a church. Yeah. Yeah. Feels full circle.
I skip the USDA part, but I go from cop to church. And knowing what you went through and everything there, I don't have much to say other than wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I say too. I mean, it's wow, God, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I knew the USDA wasn't where I would end up. I knew it wasn't going to be long-term. It was a short-term purpose chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a good healing period too. It wasn't easy to end law enforcement. And this is a whole nother conversation and we don't have to go down, but the brain plays catch up at one point after you're done being a cop. And all those years of stuff, the brain catches up with processing. And there's a healing that happens physically, spiritually, that happens during that USDA time. Mm-hmm. So it was the right job at the right time. I mean, I could be out in a field and just be.
Yeah.
And so that was great. But yeah, the bullseye is how the Lord close some doors and open another one wide open.
Tell me about this transition.
Yeah, so we've been involved. So we go to the we go to church in a gym.
It's okay.
Oh, it's awesome. Especially if, I'm telling you about
Pick up the
Missouri
chairs, let's
Senate.
play ball.
Oh, we do. We need plenty of volunteers every Sunday. It gets people in serving capacities. But, we've been involved with our church, love our pastors, love everything about it. And I've volunteered in our middle school student ministry for several years as a small group leader. And middle schoolers are awesome. And I've loved it, enjoyed it. About a year ago, roughly, a little over a year ago, I'm still working for the USDA. The director, I guess it would be titled, of middle school ministry opened. That position became available. My pastor talked to me, just wondering if there's any interest there. And, such a grace-filled, truth-filled man knew my heart, had shared at whatever point along the line at early days of my, life and path in high school, having this calling almost for a pastoral sort of position, and talked about that. And it wasn't wasn't like, yup, I'm in necessarily right away. I could see God opening this door, but there's some time filled with praying about it, and this was the right move, and clearly it was, and the Lord led me there, and so it was a yes. I'd do the middle school thing, director of middle school, and I wasn't sure I was going to do this. Like, that's not my career, that's not my training, I haven't led a youth ministry. I've got another job. How am I going to balance this? And so we went about a year with really kind of both roles, USDA and the middle school director.
Oh, you did? Okay. I didn't know.
I did. Yeah. But it was a limited capacity, a few hours a week, but it wasn't easy from the standpoint of juggling two jobs. Just from a logistical standpoint, time, I'd get rolling on one thing and, you'd have to kind of have a hard stop and go to another thing. And there's a sweet lady in our congregation who was sharing a time in her life when she was going through a major transition and finances were tough. She was holding 2 part-time jobs. And she said, 2 part-time jobs is way more difficult than one very, very busy full-time job. Just from that starting, stopping, momentum, juggling all the pieces of 2 worlds,
No, I could see that.
And it was.
I could see that.
And I remember her telling me that early on, and I remember sort of thinking, okay, we'll see. And she was spot on. So anyways, I kind of do this juggle for a little bit. But, I wasn't completely, I was limited hours, with the middle school.
So were you full-time at USDA?
So
I'm just trying to wonder, are you 2
Yeah.
part-time jobs like she was, or are you full-time part-time?
Yes. So what I ended up doing is the USDA was kind of interesting because it's real project-based. And so I was able to reduce my hours slightly with the USDA while filling these other hours as the middle school.
Okay.
So, on paper it was all 40 hours in the end, but in reality it was, I don't know, 2 million or something a week or whatever.
2 million, yeah. That's what it feels like, right?
And, it's kind of through this next year that I'm starting to feel, okay, this USDA thing's good for this chapter, but it's not where the Lord wants me to be. And it's in there that our pastor again approaches me, at every point and said, hey, I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know where you're feeling led. I don't know if you want to be with USDA for the next 20 years.
And already you're like, nope.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And, I haven't shared any of my heart up to this point. But he said, would you consider, ending that chapter of the USDA and coming over here as a director of student ministry? Can oversee all the students. And, wow, okay. And there's this worldly, fleshly, oftentimes I think the voice of the enemy saying, no way, you can't, you're not trained, you can't handle, that's too much, whatever it is. But then the other obvious door that the Lord's thrown wide open. And so with both of these sort of things in mind, I mean, it was an easy answer. Okay, Lord, here I go.
So is that when you quit your first job?
That's when I tried quitting my first job. Yeah. It took 3 attempts. Yeah.
They wouldn't let you.
Eventually, they let me quit.
I'm sorry. That is just crazy. No, really, I'm done. Well, hold on just a little bit. Oh, so how long have you been doing the whole gig at the church?
Yeah. Well,
and what's the
date today?
What's the title exactly?
Yeah. So director of student ministry.
So you see from like kindergarten up?
No, it's a 6 through 12, actually 4 years post.
Okay.
We have initiative out of our church. Yeah.
And 4 years post.
4 years post.
So young adults as well. Like
I mean, that's our focus. Yeah. Our pastor still will directly, they kind of tag team our confirmation instruction as they should, ordained ministers, but overseeing, the student ministry itself, including into, we define it as 4 years post high school. Kind of this growing young model. And if you've ever heard this book by Fuller Institute, it's fascinating. It's recommendation of a next read for you. Growing Young, it's called. So
Growing Young.
Yeah. It might be up on my bookshelf here somewhere. You might be
I see some of the books up there that I'm like, oh yeah, I recognize that book, or I would like to read that book. I see a few on there that we could exchange books. I've been reading a lot of books lately.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. To the point where I had to go to the eye doctor and make sure that my eyes were still good. And they're not.
Oh, they're not. Yeah.
No, I'm on cheaters now. I'm getting old, dude. Oh, look at this.
Same
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
So that is kind of where you're at now.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at now. I literally just started. I mean, here we are, the date. I mean, I've been in there for about a month.
Oh,
this is fresh.
We're going to have to come back.
Yeah. This is fresh.
Well, that's awesome. That is absolutely awesome.
It is awesome. It's been the place the Lord has landed at the right season, at the right time. And
I wasn't kidding earlier when I said that this was one interview that I was really looking forward to. No disrespect towards any of my other ones, but I know your story, and I knew that it bounced all over. And I know that, your law enforcement career being ripped out the way it was not in the cards. And I knew that was going to be an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
But I also knew the end, and I knew this, and this is absolutely phenomenal. God does have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
It might not match ours at times, but he puts you right where you need to be. And the reality is, as a law enforcement officer, I mean, you were literally watching people pass away sometimes. You're literally saving lives sometimes on medicals and so forth, or intervening, potentially stopping things. But think of the impact that you get to have now on the next generation of people. And I don't even know how to measure that, because I don't know if you can. Yeah. Right. It's phenomenal. I'm super excited about what the Lord has for you in the future. I want to obviously keep in touch. I don't think that's an issue, but it's cool.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster ride that you've been on in the last several years. And well, I mean, I guess you can even start at day one. It sounds like day 2 of phase 1 and on FTO was the roller coaster.
Indeed. It has. It's been quite a
but ride. It's cool. I'm super excited. I'm super proud of where you're at. I know the guys at the office miss you. We still talk about you.
Yeah, I miss them.
We talk about you, and and obviously you being a former investigator, and I'm up in that. That group, and we often talk about you, and we miss you. But we also realize that things happen.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at. So I do have a really weird question, and I'm going to kind of end it here. But if you could go anywhere, this is totally strange, but
Okay.
if you could go anywhere in the world on a vacation with you and your bride
Oh.
for any period of time, and money wasn't an issue.
Oh.
I mean, I'm glazing this really good.
You are. It's almost like, do you have a secret listener that like surprises
Maybe,
people with, like,
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
hey, I heard you want to go too.
Gift you. Here's a gift of 20 grand. Have at it. No, I
Yeah.
wish. Where would you go? What would you do?
It's a great question. There are so many places on my list. However, my number one still remains New Zealand.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is a beautiful place though.
Gorgeous. So,
I've only seen pictures. I've not been there.
well, Small World, one of our pastors, his wife is from New Zealand.
Oh,
And it's only grown my desire to go there, hearing about it and seeing pictures. And it just, I love the outdoors and adventure and skiing, for example. Probably not known to many people. The skiing in New Zealand's phenomenal,
I did not know that.
as well as like all the other stuff, like water rafting. And, things are a little bit, well, I modify things sometimes these days with my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Things I used to have no problem that feel a little different now. But I do like that challenge. I like the challenge of figuring it out and having half of a hand that makes it through.
Oh, God.
But yeah, New Zealand, that's my number one.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
my number one.
And one more final one,
Yeah.
because I'd like to ask these questions.
Mm-hmm.
If you can meet any historical figure from the past or present, well, I guess I'm saying historical, so
Ooh.
probably the past,
Yeah.
and have dinner with them and just have a
Okay.
conversation, who would it be?
Sure. It's a tough one. Boy, there is a long list.
I don't know if I could answer that
Yeah.
personally,
Yeah.
because I've got a long list of people.
I do too. I think my number one would probably be Martin Luther.
Really?
Yeah, just to hear how he responded and was courageous enough to do what he did, to speak truth when he knew it would be bad.
Wasn't going to end up well.
Wasn't going to end up well, and then really have to go into hiding and what that experience was like. Like, did you ever have any time when you regretted, like, or feeling as if you didn't make the right choice? Hear about that experience.
He made the right choice.
Yeah, I think he did.
All right, Aaron, we better wrap it up.
All
This
right,
went
man.
a lot longer than we probably should have. I hope I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't think I lost any listeners on this one, because your story
Oh,
from A to Z is just like, I could go on another hour.
Oh, well.
We could have gone into some details on some stuff, but
it's been fun.
it's good. It's all good. Any final parting words that, I mean, it's like an interview, right? Is
Yeah.
there anything I haven't asked you that?
Well, the capstone is that, sometimes the Lord will just move things and put you in places and doors that'll open that, as uncomfortable as they might be, you just got to move into it. I mean, sometimes that whisper, that voice of the Lord is just so compelling and so obvious that even with the outside voices of fear and whatnot, that you just gotta trust and go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. I have nothing better to say. I
All right.
can't end it anything better than that. So I want to thank you for inviting me into your home.
Yeah.
Thank you for having a afternoon chit chat, and just know that we're praying for you. Our family is, and but of course you landed on your feet, and I didn't expect anything but thank you for the listeners. Hopefully everybody hung on, and we will talk to you on the next episode. So again, Aaron, thank you so very much. I
thanks,
appreciate
Mike.
your time.
Thanks for tuning in to Under Investigation. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to dive deeper or stay updated on everything we're working on, check out our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/weareunderinvestigation. We'd also love to hear from you. Got questions, feedback, or a story to share? You can text or call us at 763-634-1210. Your input helps shape the show, so don't be shy. Until next time, stay curious, stay questioning, and keep investigating.